distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, peace and mercy and blessings of God be with you. I wish to thank Her Excellency Madam Joy. She's not with us right now, but I really believe this room has been a house of freedom, because it's all relative. So what they think is to obtain democracy, we have it, but you know, where is our freedom? So that's where the spiritual aspect comes into the picture, because you know what our environment is and how we become limited or become a victim of circumstances. The freedom is there because of our willingness to directly become attuned to that spiritual aspect that's within. And that in itself is what allows one to really become free, regardless of what country you are, or what race, or even what color, or what gender you are. So that, to me, has been my greatest lesson. Even though I traveled all over the world trying to discover it, I found it right here in my own home, and right here in my own heart. And during my travels, I became acquainted with Vaishnavas in India, and this opened another perspective of the relationship that I have with God. And I came to discover more self-realization, and with a choice to stay on purpose. So that in itself is another thing that requires so much focus, because we can set out to do something, but if we don't have that determination to do it, and we had such a perfect example today listening to all these wonderful ladies, but personally, my friend, I can't imagine how she could, you know, just be here today with all the things she's doing, and then she's here. But it's because of that determination and that choice and to fulfill that purpose. And so that's what I believe, whether it's the astronaut like John Glenn, and I understand his wife, Annie Glenn, had a stutter like the King's Speech, that even though she had this impediment, and he had it, he was still able to deliver the speech. And she was able, even though they were in social places all the time, and she was stuttering, she was able to even advance further than her husband in that regard. So that's very inspiring. So we all have that within us to as long as we have the purpose, the choice, and we follow through, and the discipline. So now to discover through this self-realization, the time to develop this personal relationship seems to allow all to fall into place, especially through prayer and listening and following my spiritual teacher, His Holiness Bhakti Charu Swami, and looking within. But the commitment to be silent and listen is really a priority, and it really does require discipline, because there's just too much talk and too much distractions and things. So we have to have that space, an appointment with ourselves to allow that to come about, and know how to do it even while you're walking or flying through the air. So my transformational activism has really blossomed, and God has been good and allowed me to serve on many levels throughout my journey back home. And how the practice of inner peace is related to the achievement of outer peace really emphasizes the need to take care of one's personal spiritual needs in order to avoid compassion burnout and to sustain peacemaking efforts over a long period of time. So throughout history, preoccupation with differences between the followers of religions and cultures has engendered intolerance, causing devastating wars and considerable bloodshed without any sound logical or ideological justification. It is high time for us to learn from the harsh lessons of the past and concur on the ethics and ideals in which we all believe, and it is through the recognition that we are sisters and brothers, and that we have the same Father that transcends religion, to realize a global family where we can love one another. Last month, the Interfaith Harmony Week, initiated by King of Jordan, provided an opportunity to create an interactive program of spiritual jubilee online because I was organizing this, and between Europe, India, New York, and Los Angeles, with a diversity of cultures and faiths coming together. And next month, on April the 5th, we'll be celebrating the Golden Rule Day. Last year was our first time at the UN, and so this will be the second time. But this year, we're going to include the youth through song, dance, drama, art, to resolve the solution of challenges through the principle of the Golden Rule, doing unto others as you would have others do unto you. And in this gathering, it will help reveal the possibilities of what could happen if people of different faiths work together and committed themselves to create change in the world and have in common, such as neighbor and in schools, how people of faith have inspired and sustained the work, and it continues to remind everyone that tremendous things can be achieved of faith making commitments and working together. So the increase in religious diversity in our country and our understanding of what America means by we the people must evolve to include many who have backgrounds very different from our own, and so building bridges. And those in our communities from different faiths and cultures here at the UN, we have the perfect opportunity. And so spiritual values were really instrumental in the founding of the United Nations, and they continue to play key roles in addressing a global challenge, in all global challenges. So as chair of the NGO Committee on Spirituality, Values, and Global Concerns of New York, we explore spiritual dimensions of the Millennium Development Goals, global policy, public policy, science and conscience, and business through 11 working groups. And this year will be our 5th annual week of spirituality, values, and global concerns. The theme is visionary leadership that makes a difference at the United Nations. And the Spirit of the UN Award ceremony will be on October 20th. The week is the 20th through the 28th of October. And this is where we honor members of the UN community in 3 categories of ambassadorial, NGO, and UN staff. So our business working group, in cooperation with other working groups of the committee and NGOs, will hold a women's conference. It's going to be taking place on the 15th of March. And that's going to be Women's Leadership That Inspires Global Change. So I think there's a flyer back there. So I hope you can come. And also the committee is resolved to help bring about a culture in which we the peoples can address our common global concerns in a positive, holistic, and transforming way, and live together in peace with one another, thus realizing the core objectives and universal principles stated in the United Nations Charter and the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. So many thanks to Jeannie Kagawa and Taj Hamad for your invitation today. Oh, and by the way, Reverend Zoe Cheng was the recipient of the Spirit of the UN Award in 2010. So may we all work together to develop our inner relationship with God and allow that we be guided for the finest levels of human potential to flourish for the benefit of all. God bless you all. And also, I do believe that this is a house of, the Nigerian house, but it is also a house of joy now that we've been here today. Thank you. Thank you.